Going on, Falcon fans? It's your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. So, guys, we're gonna recap today's preseason game, and it was all about the defense, right? Um, no surprise, the starters did not play for either team, so I'm not really surprised there that we had no starters that actually played in this game. We expect the starters definitely to go next week. If anything, I could anticipate the team probably being like a dress rehearsal. It's no longer having that fourth preseason game. So you can look at the second preseason game as that, because that third preseason game, never know. But in my opinion, it could be where they decide to go more on looking at the guys that's trying to make the back end of the roster. But they really got a good look today at a lot of those guys, and a lot of those guys really made it really hard for this coaching staff to you know you know figure out what they want to actually do for this team and who they're actually going to add. So you really got to love and like what you have seen from this team today. We talked about the vibe. We talked about these guys' confidence, and I think it showed down all the way to the guys on the back end of the roster, because the way these guys was playing today, it was just outstanding to see. And we're definitely going to talk about some of those guys when we get into this video today. But guys, before we get started, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to this channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here that talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come and hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So guys, of course, Logan Woodside was able to go the whole day today. Um, if you wasn't paying attention off season, they decide to go ahead and make a actual rule that you can actually have a third quarterback on game day that would not count towards the game day roster, but that guy actually had to be part of the 53-man roster. So the day was the day for Logan Woodside to show the coaching staff, the front office, um, will the team decide to actually keep three quarterbacks on this roster. Well, this is really important because you think about, you're trying to do the 53-man breakdown, which a lot of us have already done. If you're looking at it, it's going to be hard to keep three quarterbacks and then also, have the depth you want in other areas. For an example, the defensive line is a good area to think about when you're thinking about things like that. That defensive line is really tough and something that you definitely got to think about. The defensive backfield, we already seen injuries, defensive backfield. Of course, we didn't see Clark Phillips today. Jeff Okuda is another guy that hopefully be back, early in the season as well. But, actually bringing some extra DBs in the room would definitely be awesome to have. Of course, you always need extra offensive linemen, right? So, having a third quarterback on the roster would take away from one of those other positions that we definitely probably could use some depth in, especially when you think about a third string quarterback. Probably won't play. Of course, you had the situation with the San Francisco 49ers, why they make the rule anyway, but that's rare. You probably would never see your third string quarterback go. So just having a third string quarterback on the roster would be a big decision for this Atlanta Falcon team. Even though Logan Woodside actually did some really good things for himself today. And, before we get into the defense, we'll talk about the offensive side of the ball first. I thought Godwin Iwabuke really had a good showing today. He had the Atlanta Falcons' only touchdown. We know the Atlanta Falcons is going to run that ball. That offensive line that was out there first actually did pretty good. Open up holes for the running game, giving Logan Woodside time. And Iwabuke, he actually took advantage of that. You can tell he actually had some NFL experience. Um, in this league, because he was running the track. Those cutbacks that he was doing was really impressive, and it just make you more hungry to see that first string offense line get out there with our guys that we know is definitely going to be in this roster, especially on my number 8 overall pick. Bijan Robinson, you can't wait to see him out there. So from an offensive standpoint, you know, good good command of the offense. Not a lot of penalties there. Um, you've seen some things. Of course, it was going to be real vanilla. Definitely not going to show anything for the Carolina Panthers or anybody else in the league to see. But running the operation of the offense was really good by Logan Woodside tonight. And like I said, offense, not a lot of penalties. Um, I could tell you, Josh Ali really hurt himself with that perfect pass by Logan Woodside down the sideline. He got to catch that ball. Logan Woods, I had a couple errant throws. One early in the game, and then one probably should have been picked off later in the game. But for the most part, I thought Logan Woodside had a pretty solid game. Considering um, what Arthur Smith, and what they was trying to do with the offense. Just looking at those offensive linemen, of course, later on in the game, you start to bring in the backups to the backups, right? And then you start to see a little bit less, efficiency going on with offense because offensive line just had younger, more inexperienced guys out there offensive line, and Logan Woodside started to have less and less more time to actually be able to complete passes. But overall, I thought it was good operation, good control of the offense by Logan Woodside, and maybe he did make it a little tough for the Atlanta Falcons to decide are they going to actually keep him or not. So that's one of the things you definitely got to look at and see what they decide to do with that quarterback position. But guys, the reality of tonight was all about the defense, 100% about the defense. I mean, we just started about one of the big stats that's out there is the 5 sacks that the Atlanta Falcons had. Remember, they only had 21 sacks total last year. Had 5 in one game today. With our depth, with our backups, you really got to be impressed with that. Timothy Horn, really, flashed a whole lot in this game. You love to see that. Huggins as well, both of those guys. So just adding more to that depth on that defensive line. Gaziano had some good pressure as well. The rookies at Harrison. So the defensive front really made a lot of good plays for this Atlanta Falcons defense tonight. And like I said, that's all the backups. So it kind of confirmed, the things we had been hearing, the 2 joint practices from the Atlanta Falcons this week because those what we really heard was that the Atlanta Falcons dominated the the two joint practices up front in the trenches. And for what we've seen today from our backups, on their backups, of course, it wasn't going against their starters, but our starter was not out there either. And um, I just thought that the Atlanta Falcons, front seven kind of dominated the game in the trenches. And the start of the game, I think our offensive line um, kind of dominated as well. So from the offense and defense fronts, um, I felt like they kind of dominated. Now you can look at the box score. You say, well, um, the Miami Dolphins had a lot of rushing yards, and I could kind of say that I felt like the Miami coaching staff did a lot of trick plays and things to get their guys out on the perimeters and like reverses and dump off passes to kind of create some of those explosive plays. I thought Miami had a lot of more explosive plays than the Atlanta Falcons did tonight. However, when it came when it counted down in the red zone, the Atlanta Falcons really bold um, and you know showed what they was made of. Right, they made consistently continued um, plays down in the red zone. The Miami Dolphins went 0 for 3 in the red zone tonight, and only points they had was a 49-yard field goal. So um, I, so just looking at the box score, sometimes that's why you looking at the stats. People say empty stats and things like that. That's where you can look at it because it don't show on the scoreboard. And I could say that tonight was really a reflection of that tonight. Now, one thing that I was not pleased with And I don't know how you guys felt about it, but the tackling from our defense really was not up to par. I saw a lot of missed tackles. I thought the defense, how well they played, could have even played better. They missed a lot of tackles tonight. So that's one of the things they definitely got to clean up. Um, you can't be missing tackles in the backfield when you could have had a tackle for a loss. We one play Armor Ebiketie had good penetration, but he just froze and let the running back run right past him. D'Angelo Malone could have had him a sack. He didn't wrap up. Missed tackles in the hole. Um, just and then I thought a lot of times some guys was out of place. So some of those big explosive plays that the Miami Dolphins got, you can see some of those plays where they was really not doing the things they were supposed to do. So um, all in all, though, I was really pleased with the defense because if you look at the scoreboard, like I said, 3 points. And believe it or not, I know it's a preseason game. It feels good for the Atlanta Falcons to get a W on the board because, we talk about it all the time. Um, we want to be able to establish a winning culture. When you strap it up, no matter who's out on the field, you want to try to go out and get the W. And since Arthur Smith's been here, that's one of the things we have turned around. Because I don't know if you guys remember, I don't know if Dan Quinn ever won a preseason game. That's what I mean. It doesn't matter win or loss in the preseason, but you want to create that where hey, it's all about winning, and that's what you like to see from this Atlanta Falcon team. Those guys was really really trying to get the W tonight, and they really showed up in so many different um, ways. One of the ways that we can really talk about is that defensive secondary. All the backup secondaries down. When I can honestly say, I was a little less impressed by guys like Trey Flowers and Mike Hughes, guys that potentially could be that number two corner for us. Um, they really didn't impress me as much as they should have. Trey Flowers did get a tip for the Helms interception in the red zone. But other than that, I thought they could have been better. Definitely want to see some of those some of those guys clean up because they're veteran guys out there. A lot of playing time in NFL. You would hope they would play a little bit better than they did, but it's so many guys in that secondary that you can just call out. Um, Two guys in particular, DeMarco Helms, um, living up to his nickname, the Hitman. Um, he had 5 tackles in the first half, a long interception, and a PPU. So he really made a case for himself. Um, did have to go out the game, but he came back in. I think he had another tackle right after he came back in. So DeMarco Helms really, you know, showed showed what he can do in a live situation. I think Abernathy might have had a lead up on him before this game, but I think DeMarco Helms really had made some hay for himself, this game. So kudos to DeMarco Helms. Another guy, Breon Borders, um, continuous, heard his name called. We've been hearing his name called in camp, and he really, really made a lot of great plays tonight. He had an interception in the game, so you gotta love way the secondary playing. You gotta to take your hat off to our coach Jackson that had what's going on. Um, yep, we talk about this. I know you happy just like me about this Atlanta Falcons win, but that secondary guys, you gotta take it off to our defensive defensive back coach. They just Jerry Gray and Jackson. Those both of their guys got those guys playing. They're confident. They're aggressive. They're taking the ball. They're getting their hand on everything, and you just got to be excited. And then with that front seven creating penetration to where they were tonight, linebacker blitzing. One guy that I'm definitely going to call out, Mike Jones Jr. Really really looked explosive tonight. On his blitz, um, could definitely have one of those years like Doran Etheridge had a couple of years ago. Um, so a guy like that making a name for himself. That's what you want to see. That's what preseason all about. These guys coming in, trying to make a roster, standing out and making plays. So guys that you really got to highlight tonight is Breon Borders, um, DeMarco Helms, Mike Jones Jr., Timothy Horn, um, Huggins. On the offensive side, Xavier Malone is a guy that really had a good showing. Um, Godwin Iwabuke, the running back, had a good showing as well. I thought Logan Woodside did what he had to do with operations, playing the entire game. So between all those guys, um, that on the back end, the bubble of the roster, those guys made names for themselves. So, you know, like I said, all of it counts. The preseason and training camp as well. So that's why you have to just start to make plays and flashes. When the coaches put on the film, they want to see you keep making a play, keep making a play, keep making a play, and somehow your name keeps coming up. That's how you get on this roster. So one of the a couple of guys that we that I talked about, a guy like Okendeji, he had some plays out there, but Okendeji, been a 2-year starter for the Atlanta Falcons. You would expect him to make more plays. Um, he did make plays, but he's still, I don't know where he stands on the depth chart right now. So Okendeji is another guy that really, Darren Hall is another guy that didn't hear his name called a lot. Another guy that's definitely on the board. I think Breon Borders could even be ahead of Darren Hall right now in that secondary room, especially the way he played tonight. But guys like DeMarco Helms really um, made a lot of hay for himself tonight, along with Breon Borders, Timothy Horn, Huggins, Gaziano. I can just call out the whole defense if you want me to, but all those guys really made a lot of good plays. 330 said it looked like the defense and DC put those players in position to succeed tonight. 100%. I agree with you. Um, you can see that he's going to be aggressive with his plays. But I'm gonna tell you this, it was vanilla still. He did not show really anything tonight. What they're going to be able to show, what they show Carolina on, like for an example, on September 10th, right? I think they stayed a lot of cover two tonight, not a lot. Of course, they did blitzes and things like that, but for the most part, they did not show, how what they actually going to do with that defense tonight. But you're correct; they did have those guys in position. I think a lot of guys was really out of place on some of those big plays that they gave up to the Miami Dolphins. Contained on the outside. That's why the reverse didn't work like it needed to work. Um, a lot of those outlets to the running backs that got explosive plays didn't work like it needed to work. So, overall, from a defensive standpoint, I agree. He did have them in position to do the things that they need to do, but you know, he didn't show nothing. He didn't show anything. So that's even more exciting because how good they played tonight and how many plays they made, how aggressive they were. Right, they were relentless, and you got to think about it, guys. Those are our backups that play like that. The relentlessness that they showed. So you got to love it. Um, Brandon, I'll be talking about D offer. I definitely was going to get him. I think we found our punt returner. Um, that's what he did with the CFL. Coming from the Canadian Football League, he returned kicks and he showed his ability to do that. So I think it's safe to say that he probably, could maybe solidify that spot tonight. Can't do it all in one game, of course. You got to be able to see um, him, sustain good returns over and over again. Hopefully, he's been doing that in practice as well. So, like I said, all of it counts to practice along with the game, the game tape as well. So, but yes, D'Arford looked really good tonight. Remember, D'Arford is also, vying for that number one slot position too. So, you know, that's another thing that he showed. Not a lot of snaps for him tonight. as expected because, like I said, he's been running with the ones a lot, but he was out there. So that's one thing we do got to recognize the offer. Mike Hughes, all those guys, going against Clark Phillips would have been the guy. Would love to see Clark Phillips out there tonight and see his tenacity and see what kind of plays he could have made because, of course, his name been called all training camp long. So hopefully he has the opportunity to go out there next week when everybody else out in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Um, you mentioned Mike Walker. Mike Walker made some good plays tonight as well, especially the big play he made in the red zone, the tackle for the loss that contributed to one of our red zone stops that we had tonight. So I think him and Nate Landman is the guys that probably solidified the third and fourth linebacker spot. Um, but a guy like Mike Jones Jr., he really flashed tonight at that linebacker position. Tay Davis looked at, made some good plays as well at the linebacker position. So um, depending on how many middle linebackers they decide to keep, a lot of people feel like that middle linebacker position is still kind of, you know, not where we want to be and don't have as much depth as we need. But I thought Lemon, who had a sack tonight, of course, Walker, like I said, who had a big tackle for a loss on a critical third down play in the red zone, really flashed tonight as well. So um, Michael Walker, Nate Lemon, and Mike Jones Jr. really had some really good plays tonight. Jalen Mayfield. Yes, Jalen Mayfield definitely looked more comfortable out there playing. The position he actually played in college at right tackle. The reason why he got moved in the first place because the arms is not the arm length is not what they thought it would be. They thought he'd be fit more as a guard, but I think he looks more natural out there um, as a tackle, and I think that's going to save him for not being a guy that's going to get cut. So good to see Jalen Mayfield, finding a home back out at tackle position because we know based off the way he played the first season at left guard was not where we needed him at, not where the team. And I think if he would have continued to stay there, he would have not made this team this year. So, I agree with you 100%. Jalen Mayfield is not what's going on, Millie Mills. Jalen Mayfield is definitely um, pretty much probably saved his spot on this team, moving back out the right tackle, and he actually did pretty good. Like that first offensive line that was out there, they opened up big holes, and a guy like Godwin Iwabuke definitely took advantage of that. In his time he was out there. I think Iwabuke had a good kickoff return as well, but I think CP got that locked down. So um, definitely, hats off to Jalen Mayfield. He says the depth looks much better. That's what it's all about to me. When you think about, these preseason games, of course you want to be able to, get your team in rhythm. I know a lot of people probably, was not happy today that, our starters did not go out there, especially Desmond Ritter, who only had, 4 starts himself. But Arthur Smith said, if he did play Desmond Ritter, the starters was going to play with him. So um, I felt like, you know, since the Miami Dolphins decided not to play, none of their starters tonight, I thought it was the right decision not to play our starters as well, including Desmond Ritter, especially when we just played practice with these guys, 2 consecutive days on Tuesday and Wednesday, and they got a lot of good reps in. So you already played 1-on-ones, all two whole days with the same team. So you kind of got a feel for what this team is like and things like that. So there's no reason to actually go out there play another you know practice because you're not going to scheme, you're not game planning. You know, it's pretty much just like practice if you think about it. They're not trying to the game plan, the scheme to get a regular season win. So it's almost like a practice, and a lot of these guys going to be working on certain things. They're going to call certain plays. They want to see this player, see what he can do in this. That's what preseason all about. So um, I felt like it was good to highlight our depth tonight, and they did not let us down at all. They came out. They really showed us that the Atlanta Falcons made a lot of good signings, and we've been saying it all camp long that this was going to be a hard roster to make, and I don't think nothing the Falcons did tonight is going to change that. These next 3 weeks, for this coaching staff, this front office is going to be really tough to see who's going to make the back end of this roster because the depth, like he said, it really looks good. He said Mike White looked like trash against the backups. If Tua goes down, they're in serious trouble. That you know what? That's a good point. I did not think about that because that is their backup. Because we did not play our backup, our second string tonight, so I didn't think about that. But that's a great point. Yes, yeah, he does not look like a guy. They probably shouldn't have let Teddy Bridgewater get out the door. They probably should have kept him on the squad instead of going and bringing in Mike White. But sometimes, man, you just got to tip your head off to the defense. I thought our defense is just tenacious, man. Those guys, Ryan Nielsen, when he came in, he said they was going to be aggressive and they're going to be um, nasty. He did not lie. That's what we seen tonight. Those guys relentless all night long, and Mike White probably lucky that he got out the game because the third string quarterback, I mean, they just punished him all night. I don't know how many blindside sacks that he took. Um, in the last one, he could not hold on to the ball. Arm Ebiketie, I kind of didn't like the way Armor Ebiketie played tonight. Of course, he made some plays. Of course, that's what we wanted to see from him. But I thought, you know, he would have been one of the guys that they probably would sit out tonight. But I guess they wanted to see more and more from Armor Katie, D'Angelo Malone, those guys, our second year guys coming in. That spin move that he put on, the tackle to get in for that strip sack that he got was really awesome to see. Um, so he's showing us the flashes and things that he does have in his game. You gotta love to see things like that. So um, you know more and more reps that Armor K to get, that's good for him. And get around other guys that's going to give him some more space. Guys like a Grady and an Amiyata and a Calais Campbell. Um, all those guys getting, beside getting on the field with a guy like Armor Ebiketie, it's going to be really good to see. So you got to like that. Um, yeah, put him back. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that because he was out there with like 2 minutes left. So they wanted this win, man. They really wanted to make sure they got this win. And Arthur Smith, he mentioned it in his little post game interview that he had on the field where, he wanted to win. You put guys on the field, you start coaching. I know it's preseason, doesn't count for anything, but you really want to win. One thing about Armor Katie that I did not like was they had him drop back in pass coverage. I don't know how much experience he has doing that. That's one of the things that we got to look at because I think they had him on a tight end one time. Some it's gonna be some good tight ends in this league that try to cover. So you're gonna put Armor advocating in space. Um, that's one thing that I don't know if I like that. I like to see him going towards the quarterback, going towards the line of scrimmage instead of dropping down the coverage. I understand it. I get it. Trying to mix up some things for the offense, the quarterback to look at, but that's one of the things that I don't know if I like. Um, but yeah, it really was funny putting AK back in the game at the end against probably a guy that's definitely not going to make the team. So, but the more snaps Armor Ebiketie get, the better for him. And that was a great move that he made. I don't know if you've seen that. So, but guys, the end of the show tonight, for me, um, I come out and say I can't wait till Friday now because we actually going to get to see our starters. I'm still excited about the defense more than the offense, believe it or not. I know we get to see Bijan out there in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We get to see be interesting to see does Kyle play. I still think they might not let Kyle go out there just yet. But we get to see Mac Hollins, we get to see Tyler Algier, we get to see Cardell Patterson. Definitely get to see Desmond Ritter. You know, see how much progress he made from his last game to an actual game. Even though it's preseason, see what Desmond Ritter looks like. But what I really want to see, I want to see our starters because if our starters on defense, because if our backups look that dominant and look that aggressive and that you know that much in sync, I just can't imagine our starters what they're gonna look like. I can't wait. We're going up against the Bengals. I don't know. I got to probably look and see who they actually played tonight. See if they played in their starters. What it look like next week. But and it's not gonna matter. If we play backups next week, that's bad for them because our defense is coming. They got to get some play. If you remember Arthur Smith's first season, he didn't really play his starters at all, and then we got into that first game against Philadelphia, and it looked like they hadn't played any preseason snaps. So, um, but I anticipate, and I don't know how they're going to do it, but um, I would anticipate these guys going at least a half, maybe, because it could be like the dress rehearsal game. I think the last game is really about the guys that's trying to make the roster. Um, and you definitely got to get a look at those guys because some guys are already locked in, even though they say it's a competition across the board. Some guys on the roster already. We just know that. So um, I think if they play a half next week, the starters, and then you put the second string in, Taylor Heineke come in and play the second half. Um, that would be good for this team. And then I think that third preseason game be more like tonight, guys, coming in and trying to prove themselves. So that's the way I look at it. That's the way I hope. I'm anticipating it to go. If they bring, starters on the third game, that's fine too. But it'd just be interesting to see what they decide to do in that third preseason game. But in the next week's game, um, he haven't mentioned it yet, but they should kind of do a semi game plan as well, kind of scheme a little bit, just make it like more like a real game situations, especially for one half for this team, to get ready because these guys got to get locked in. So that's just the way I look at it. Hopefully they do that. Um, can't wait to see um, the way the offensive line open up holes for like Iwabuke tonight. Can you just wait to see how they open up for Bijan, where they line him up with things that they'll be able to do for him. We said Helms. Can't wait to see how Helms pan out. More experience for him. Yes, man. Yeah. Well, if you just watch the highlights on him, we know he's gonna come downhill and hit you hard. I mean, like he said, his nickname was Hitman, but Um, didn't see him on special teams. I had to go back and look and see did he flash on special teams because that's really how he's going to make the team, special teams. But the way he played in the secondary tonight was really impressive. Like I said, I think he helped himself a lot. I think he led the team in tackles in the first half. Um, PPU interception. He really played really well. And the entire game did have to come out for a short minute, but he definitely came back in. So I think he's ready to go. But next week, this is the guys we definitely gonna be looking for. Of course, our quarterback Desmond Ritter, see what he got. Um, Number 8 overall pick B John. Just definitely got to get some run next week. Um, then once again, guys, our defensive front. I just want to see how much havoc they can wreak next week against that. And if Cincinnati, plays their starters, they got a revamp offensive line, so it should be a pretty good matchup for our defense next week. We know Joe Burrow's not going to go, so they won't get that. We'll see how many of their starters actually play. Do Chase play? Do Higgins play? Any of those guys? We'll have to find out. But I thought the Atlanta Falcons got like a lot of good work this week going up against a smaller, faster team. That dynamic is something that you know kind of maybe see a little bit with the Carolina Panthers. They got some shiftier guys. Really gonna be interesting to see Bryce Young. I can't wait to game one. I know you guys can't wait either. But we got time. We got time. We got time. We still got to work on the things we need to work on to get ready. But all in all, last word for real this time. The game was really, really good. Football is back. Atlanta Falcons with the W. Um, Defense look good. The depth is where it really needs to be, and that's all you can ask for. No big injuries coming out of tonight. Get ready. We gotta go back home for the next two preseason games, and we'll get to see these guys what they made of. So, guys, let me know what you think. Did I leave anybody out that I did not highlight? Pretty much shoot me up in the message board and things like that. But thank you guys for coming in, kicking it with me. Atlanta Falcons first win preseason game one. Starters play next week. And this is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.